Ooh, hello. I know, a little late on that one, but oh, hello there. Didn't see you. Sorry. Got to get this shit connected. Yeah. Oh, hi. Sorry, I'm just getting set up. I am about to start this though. It's my actual first time doing live. It's pretty interesting. Okay, Gucci. Boom. Send. What's up? Man. Oh, hello. Not posting on social media in a long time. It's pretty good. All right, I got one more Twitter thing. All right, let's do tweet it out. Excellent. All right. Oh yeah, and I got to press play, don't I? On the actual recording of the podcast. Oh, I'm a silly bitch. All right, here we go. Okay. Oh, I'm so silly. Sorry, dude. Record. There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been nearly 2 years since I last did a podcast. But this year has shown me that maybe I should pop back into the game. I have my own voice, as you hear right now, and my own opinions on things. And I think that in the current climate, we need more people with their own voices who have their own ideas and are courageous enough to express them. Yeah, I just called myself courageous. So this episode is actually called, on my grand return, Reflections in Winter, Year of the Deadwood Forest Fire. So actually, let's kind of talk about what the Deadwood Forest Fire means. So I live out in the West. I live in Colorado I've lived out here almost 6 years. I hope some of you know that. But I had a forest fire that was 28 miles from my house that ended up being the largest in Colorado history. We actually had the three largest fires in Colorado history all happen this year at the same time in different parts of the state. So the Deadwood Forest Fire, what ended up happening, not in just Colorado, but in the whole West. I mean, from like August to November, there were just constant fires all throughout the West. But what happened was that we weren't doing controlled burns. And so there was deadwood literally everywhere, littered about everywhere. And if you've ever gone camping, you've made a deadwood pile to stoke your fire. Yeah, to have firewood. So these forests were just filled with tons and tons of deadwood. I mean, at least decades worth of dead wood. And so what happens when you try to reveal the gender of your baby? That's not what happened in Colorado. It was undetermined, I believe, but I think it may have potentially started from dry conditions and there was like a lightning storm. Possibly. I could be making that up. Correct me, please. But with that, piles and piles of wood not being taken care of, when the fire came, it was gargantuan. It was huge. It was uncontrollable, literally. The fire started, the one near my house, Cameron's Pass is what it was called, Cameron's Pass fire. It started August 13th, the night of August 13th. The reason I know that is because we were planning to go camping for Jenny's birthday, August 14th. I know. And we wake up in the morning because we were planning to leave early. And my neighbor across the street said, Blake, have you looked at the mountains today? I turn and look, and I couldn't see any mountains at all, actually, at all. Zero mountains. Come to find out, where we were planning on going camping, which is called Pingree Park, which is near Cameron Pass. None of y'all give a fuck since you don't live in Fort Collins, Colorado. But I'm really setting the scene here. Had caught on fire. So from August 13th until probably, August, September, October, to the end of October, it was 2 straight months of smoke, which really sucks. I like to hike. I like to be outdoors. Couldn't really go outside. Couldn't see the mountains at all. Even the Front Range, which is the closest ones to us. Anyways, this year, 2020, has been the year of the Deadwood Forest Fire. This whole year has been our Deadwood as a society, as a culture, catching fire and becoming this insurmountable, uncontrollable force, which I think is very interesting. In later episodes, I will go more into depth in this. I just kind of wanted to, like I said, explain the title a little bit because it is relevant. I know sometimes my titles might seem a little bit random, but this is relevant. So that's the year of the Deadwood Forest Fire. Let's get into the reflections of the year. I ascribe to the Tim Ferriss idea that I don't really like New Year's resolutions. I think doing a year in review or reflecting on your year works better for me personally. I'm naturally more prone to reflection, so that just works for me. Setting up goals, I've gotten better at, but my natural tendency is to live my life and reflect on my experiences. So let's just do it. So this is my year. Your year is obviously going to be different, or possibly the same. If it's the same, cool. But we have different lives, so I expect different experiences. So let's just cover it too. I've been gone from social media, podcasting, basically any way to connect with me that's not in person. I haven't been doing for 2 years now. And a lot's happened. I have been a behavior therapist, which I think some of you may have known, meaning I work with mostly kids with autism. I got engaged. Jenny and I got engaged December 18th of 2019. So we've actually been engaged for an entire year, over a year now. We bought a house February 18th of 2020 because it's now 2021. Little did we know, pandemic was going to strike just 2 weeks later, which is it ended up being okay. Not the pandemic being okay, but our particular experience within the pandemic at first was all right. I was working my job. I worked at this place called Lighthouse Neurofeedback Behavioral. So I don't know, it's a long ass name, Lighthouse. And I had been there for over 2 years. And Jenny as well. She was actually one of the people who helped make that place what it is. She was the first person hired and she was the clinical director. I was the second therapist. I was one of the first 5 people hired, including like the owner and his really good friend who, they started with. Well, we ended up quitting there in August. Yeah. And I took the whole month of September, this last September, off to just kind of reevaluate. So I quit my job. Jenny quit her job. We lost some longtime friends. They didn't die. Just this year exacerbated, in my own included. I'm not saying that I, am scot-free. Oh, look at me, holier than thou. I mean, I've got the little halo effect right there, right? No, that's not the case. This year, through isolation, through fear, being told via all information sources, media predominantly, but social media is part of media now, right? The biggest part, actually. it exacerbated people's neuroses. The neurotic tendencies that people have just were put under the microscope this year and allowed to be, not allowed, but the environment that has been created of the past year was such that, well, some of people's bad tendencies just came out. So, like I said, we lost some really good friends. We're good friends through some situations. And, maybe we'll talk about it on another podcast. But not right now. Not for the first one. It's kind of a long story. And we'll get into some of the lessons I learned, right? So that was really tough, because I thought I planned on these people coming to my wedding. I planned on these people, being around for my kids. We want to have kids. Jenny and I want to have kids. And it was really hard, to have to rethink what I had thought for a long time. I'd known these people I will turn 31 January 25th this year, 2021. And I've known them for at least 15 years now. That's a long time. That's half my life. And they're just not in my life anymore. So it's okay. That's cool. It's not cool, actually, if I'm being honest. But let's go on. So that's, again, I'm kind of giving you a broad strokes, and then we're going to get into the lessons, because I don't think you actually always want things to be good and perfect. I don't think there is perfect. I don't think you always want things to be good. I think I learn more. I can't comment on your experience, but I can comment on mine. I learn more from my failures, from my toe stubbings, essentially life toe stubbings, than I do from being happy. When I'm happy and content, I'm playing video games, eating whatever, whatever foods that are my most preferred, sugar. And my day just kind of goes by in a haze. Part of that's because I smoke marijuana, whatever. But also part of it is because I'm not you're not really learning anything when you're content. If you're reading a book, maybe, but you learn information about yourself when you go through struggle. I'm not saying to call the universe, bring me struggle. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, oh yeah, camera. Well, for those of you who will only be hearing this, my camera went blurry and it figured itself out. Cool. Well, yeah, we'll figure out some of the kinks. I've never actually done, again, for those of you listening to this recording, I'm doing live. I'm live streaming, and it will make more sense kind of towards the end when I explain why I'm starting to do the live streaming. So anyways, lessons. I learn more lessons when I suffer. Not that I want to suffer, not that I want any of you to suffer, but I learn way more when I suffer. And this year, again, it was a deadwood forest fire. A lot of dead wood, a lot of things that I didn't even really know about. I wasn't paying attention to. I was just living my life. The momentum of my life was propelling me continuously forward. And, I reflect. That's my natural disposition, but I did not reflect as well as I could have. That's okay. I'll show grace to myself. I don't know everything. I don't. I actually, here's a quick little bit of insider information. Most of my ideas are not even my own ideas. Yeah, I just parrot. Anyways, let's get into some of these lessons that I learned. Here's actually the biggest one, because it kind of ties into, one last thing. I actually got COVID. I tested positive for COVID around Thanksgiving. My mom came to see me. She came from Georgia, and she actually brought it. She brought COVID, probably from my little sister, Isabel. Hey, it happens. My mom actually ended up getting COVID, and it was way worse than what we ended up experiencing in my house. I basically felt like I had a cold. I had a runny nose, a little bit congested. That's about it. Wasn't too bad. Oh, and I lost my sense of smell, which was actually really interesting. I have what I think to be a good sense of smell, like when I'm talking with others and just seeing that I use that dimension of sense, just as one of my everyday things. I know obviously people smell things, right? But do you walk into a room and when you first walk in, ask yourself what it smells like? No. If there's a smell that jumps out to you, you then become aware of smell. But in my experience, I kind of lead with my nose. I have horrible eyesight. I developed tinnitus just this year. Side note, it's made my hearing actually more sensitive. I know. It seems as if the sound, if sound is a room, then the tinnitus is taking up a space in the room. The pitch that I hear in my right ear is actually an E. It's probably like an E9 or something, but it's an E, which I think is funny because I'm like, oh, I actually kind of have not that I wanted tinnitus, but I have a reference point. I'm like, what is this? What is this note? What is this musical note? And I'll be like, well, let's see. Here's E. We can go from there. I know, silly. Tangential. You expect that from me, so whatever. I'm not going to apologize for it. But yeah, I was COVID positive. That was more recent. I have my sense of smell back. I also realized too that so I had cravings. I had sugar cravings. I like sugar. I'm not going to make any false claims about that. I love sugar. I mean, for some of you, you guys remember when I was like way chunkier. I weighed like 50 or 60 pounds more than I do now. Probably 50. I've gained like 10 pounds. Let's be for real. COVID fluff. But I realized that I actually eat sugar mainly for the mouth pleasure. Like, I was drinking a Gatorade when I couldn't taste or smell anything. And I'm like, I don't actually like this. This is like just okay. Like, I actually don't think I want to drink this. I don't think, I just wanted bland foods. But I thought it was interesting that I had a craving for sugar, even though the reason I eat sugar is for mouth pleasure. It tastes good. That's why do you eat sugar? I mean, who knows? So, okay, lessons. Let's get into it. So let's go with the first one. I think this is the most important, but they are all very important. They're all very, I know. What is that? What is that? Just the instant contradiction. This is the most important, but they're all very important. No, I think in my particular experience, this first bit. So let me tell you. So this year, I was more emotional than I've ever been. In my nearly 31 years of life, I've never been as angry as I've been this year, as sad as I've been this year, as depressed, as anxious, and disappointed. Like, insert all of the negative things that you can think about, and I've felt them to some degree, which is actually a positive. For most of my life, I've not actually allowed myself to feel emotions. If I were sad, stone face. I would distance myself from the emotions and, try to look at it through the lens of zero emotions. And that was definitely shaped up. I mean, we can get into that later. I have nothing to hide from anyone. I'm an open book. But feeling emotions, I allowed myself to feel emotions, actually be sad. It's okay. It's okay. I had very good reasons to be sad this year. I moved back to Fort Collins. I've lived in Longmont for the last 2 years. I moved back to Fort Collins to be able to be closer to my friends who aren't my friends anymore. We expected to have like house parties because we have a nice house. Like I have a nice house now. And it's just didn't happen like that. And that's okay. The loss of the idea of expecting those people, my now lost non-friends, to be at my wedding to be around with my kids. That was really sad. But again, those are very, very good reasons to be sad. And it's okay to be sad. I got angry. I'll probably talk about it in a later podcast, but in the situation that brought about me not being friends with those people anymore, I got really angry. Because I was attacked, like legitimately attacked by these people, or what I felt like attacked. I mean, obviously they could say the same thing, right? They felt attacked. And then clearly we were angry at each other, but I felt anger. And, that's okay. That is okay. I haven't always allowed myself to feel that. I will just be like, well, I don't really get mad. I could just get like frustrated. And like frustrated is like a lower level of anger, but it's like, no. I got angry this year and upset where I'm pacing back and forth, ranting and raving. And here's the next lesson in a way. But I learned to express gratitude for what I do have. So one thing that I learned this year is that Jenny and I are really fucking solid. I wasn't ranting and raving at her. I was ranting and raving, I guess, to her in like a more therapeutic sense, to get off my burden, or to help ease the burden of what I was feeling. And my partner, I will say this, I never imagined myself growing up to get married. I thought it was for rubes, essentially, like just plebs, whatever. But I found someone in Jenny that I felt like I wanted to actually spend my life with. And this year did not shake that at all. It only strengthened that, where I am so thankful to have a partner that we can experience hardships together. And instead of making the hardships worse by, you're just like your whatever, instead of making it worse, we did what we could for each other to minimize the damage of just life right now. Life's fucking crazy. I'm grateful too for my dog. Holy shit. My dog has turned into the best dog I've ever had. Like legitimately. I did not like him as a puppy. Yes, he was a cute fucking puppy. But his cuteness is probably what kept me from strangling him. Not that I would actually do that, but it kept me from strangling him. He's now 3 years old and is the best dog, hands down, I've ever had. He's got his own personality, which I respect and love, but it's just turned into a great dog. My house, I'm very grateful for. I thought it was actually kind of funny that before COVID really struck, I was like kind of bummed. I was like, man, I just bought this new house, but I'm working all the time. I don't even get to spend time in the house. I would love, universe, I want to figure out how to spend more time at my house. Universe was like, heard, Blake, COVID. And but also maybe be a little bit more explicit in what you want, right? But no, I'm thankful for my house. I never thought I would actually have a house. That's the other thing. I actually grew up under the impression that you changed houses like every 3 to 5 years. That was just because of my life circumstances. So I never actually thought about having a house or being married. So just the lesson of expressing gratitude for what I do have, because I did find this is that in, say, my most anxious times, just looking at my dog and petting him and not taking it for granted, because he doesn't have to, I could not have a dog, first off, he doesn't have to let me pet him. I mean, kind of on one hand, because I'm the owner, right? But it's like, no, I respect his doghood. But nothing is guaranteed, and I think we were conditioned to think that life goes smoothly. I was talking with my friend Austin about it last night, but we have turned ourselves into the house cats. We've declawed ourselves. We've gotten soft, actually. It's like, oh, no, it has to be 70 degrees and giving me my food, and I'm going to lay down on the couch and pet me, shit like that. It's like, we are that now. And that's just not the way it goes. If you look at history, life is fucking hard. And the years that we've had before 2020, again, I'm 30, I was born in 1990. That's not the way most of human history has gone, which is not to say that there weren't any hardships, but, I asked my grandmother earlier this year, Granny, where does this year fall for you in being difficult? And she told me, and there's some recency bias, obviously, but she said that this was the hardest year that she's been through. She was born in the 50s. She remembers the civil rights movement. She's been there, done that, right? And this year has just been a really, really tough year. Yeah, that right there, friends, is real fucking life. Actually, this is life, And quick side note, the idea that, 2020 is over, 2021 is going to bring about something better. What makes you think that? Seriously, and I'm not trying to rain on your parade if you think that. I'm just saying, what makes you think that? Just because it's a new year, things get better, just reset? No. Another lesson I learned. This is why I quit my job, actually. Advocate for myself. Advocate for yourself, people. Advocate. I get that some shit was going down in COVID. It's hard to run a business. I get that. Things were up in the air. I totally get that. I was part of that. I get it. We completely revamped my programs for my clients so we could do telehealth for multiple months. Like, I know I was there. But you gotta treat people, especially people who are putting in good work for you. You've got to reward them, especially as a behavior company. You should understand the idea. Well, what reinforcement and punishment, just easily enough. So I advocated for myself, and I have a better job. I get paid more money to do less work. Advocate for yourself. Speak up. Here's another lesson. Speak up. If something doesn't feel right, say something. Oh my God. It doesn't matter if, and I know where I'm going with this, and I know the way it's going to sound at first, but it doesn't matter if everyone around you is saying that something is right. If it doesn't feel right to you, say it. Say it. I think I'll get into this further in other podcasts, but I think that it's been morphing into this for multiple years now, but it's really starting to come to a head. Truthful speech has never been as important as it is now. Who can you trust? Can you trust the media? No. Can you trust your own experiences? I'm more of the line of saying yes to that, but it does take time to know what you want, which I don't always know what I want, but I try to check in. Like, what do I want? What do I actually want here? Say something. If something doesn't feel right, say something. And the price might be, you might lose people in your life. But here's the real thing about it. The people who you need in your life, who are healthy for you, they can give you that space to say that. The people who are unhealthy in your life won't give you the space to say what you feel to be true. Here's another lesson. Seasons change. I mean, that literally, but I guess more metaphorically speaking, lost friends this year, I haven't, which is not to say I'm kind of roguish anyways, but my family, I haven't really been able to see them. I have in little spurts, right? And then through some FaceTime. My expectations. So again, I told you when I bought the house, I was moving back to Fort Collins to be closer to friends and host events at my house, do all these things with people that I thought I was close with. No, that season was over, come to find out. And that's okay. That's okay. And even though, like I said, it made me very, very sad. And I've been more sad this year than ever. Like even now, like I'm, can't really see it, but it's like I'm kind of tearing up now because it is sad and it's fine. It is fine. It's okay. And here's another lesson. Let's get into it. So I said that I've allowed myself to feel emotions this year. One thing that I've practiced this year too is not only allowing the emotions, but to sit with the emotions. I smoke marijuana. I make no qualms about it. But I'll tell you this. I don't smoke pot to be less anxious or less depressed or less angry or less sad. No. I'll not smoke pot all day if I'm angry because I want to work it out. I don't want a Band-Aid on, I don't want to feel angry anymore. Or I don't want to feel sad. Well, yeah, no. Who wants to feel fucking sad? Actually, no one. But also, that's part of life. You can sit with being happy. I think we just need to figure out how to reframe the idea of sitting and being sad. But I've learned how to sit with myself this year. And I hope to continue practicing this. I hope this is not something I lose. Like this is something that I'm practicing to make it automatic. It's not automatic for me. I have to think about it and I have to work at it. It is a practice 3 times now. Another lesson. How to express compassion to someone who you do not like. So again, I told you I lost some friends. But you know what? I don't wish ill on them. I don't know if I would ever want to be friends with them, but how do I know? Shit changes. Life changes. I change. I change every year. While having some things stay the same, right? But we're ever changing and people are ever changing. And just because you've hurt me doesn't mean that I want to hurt you. And again, I'll get into it deeper. But for example, I still love those people. I do. And I actually want the best for them. Do I want to hang around them? Do I like them? No. But here's the thing. My teachers say, you got to love everyone. Don't have to like everyone. And I think I've never understood that better until this year. Because I don't want to cause someone who's in pain more pain. A lot of times people lash out or attack you because they're in pain. I mean, there are some people who like it, but those types are actually rare. Most people are hurt. And when you're hurt, you want to hurt others. It's a very natural feeling. But yeah, so those are some of the lessons I learned this year. We're going to shift gears, but one thing that I want to, I guess, let you guys know, because I didn't actually expect this to be, it's now 30 minutes long. Damn, I was expecting like 20 minutes. Pretty long-winded, right? Shouldn't expect anything differently from myself. Hey, we have grace for each other, right? Show grace to yourself. No, so some of the other things that I've done, I'm going to do whole episodes on. So I did ayahuasca a while back, and it's been pivotal, huge importance on just my life and my being. So I'm going to do a whole episode on my ayahuasca ceremony. I've also, before winter hit, I still plan on doing this. I just have to think about it a little bit differently, but I plan on creating a version for Fort Collins of the Cacophony Society. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It is right up my alley, and I think it's something that will potentially help people not take it so seriously, not take the heaviness of life so seriously, which is not to say that there are times when you need to take life, or you don't need to take life seriously. There are times when there's a time for everything, literally. But it will give the space for people to experience life other than what it is for them. So like I said, I'm going to do a whole episode of that. Here is something, and listen, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a little scary for me to say this, but I am starting a business. For those of you who know me, I'm currently in school to be a psychologist, but I still have a few years left. I am of the mind that the need for mental health assistance for people is greater than, well, the supply. So I'm starting a therapy business. I will be offering way lower rates than a psychologist will. And I'm going to be offering it. I'm going to be coming out with that soon. I've got the details. I'm not giving them all away purposely because I'm still trying to figure out how to get money and give Uncle Sam his cut of it. But I'm going to soon be offering my services as a counselor / therapist, not a life coach, even though some of the things will be life coach-esque. I'm not trying to be a life coach. I feel like that would be too limiting. Even though, like I said, part of the things will be life coach-y. So yeah, if you happen to hear this and you know people who would be interested, send them my way. Again, I'm figuring out some of the finer details, but this is going to happen because this is what I want to do. I'm trying to be a therapist. I just thought that I had to wait until I got my master's degree. But the reality of it is that I have a skill set that can help people now. Yeah. So cool. Hey, thanks for watching. For those of you who watched, thanks for listening. I'm going to be doing this. I'm not going to be doing it weekly. Sometimes it might be weekly. Sometimes you might get multiple podcasts in a week. I'm not going to give you a schedule. I probably will make the information when I go live privy, but I really dislike doing all the back end stuff. I like to talk, I don't want to I hate doing I dislike doing the back end stuff. So I'm going to try to do as little of that as possible and just, release the podcast in its form. And if you catch me live, you catch me live. If you don't, hey, download the podcast. You can actually find In Between Thoughts with Blake Ross on anywhere you can find a podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Podcast Network, wherever you want. And as requested by people years ago, I'm going to upload the podcast in this format onto YouTube. Because I know some people some of you are more visual, and I get that. That's cool. So I'm going to try to hit some of the different modalities of this while not having to do as much of the behind the scenes work because I just hate it. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in. And you know what? Not that I think anything is going to change right now just because the year changed. But you know what can change is the way that we think about it. And so this year, in 2021, I've already started doing this, put into practice the lessons I learned from 2020. You know, because if I'm going to walk through hell, I'm going to do it with a smile on my face, and it's going to be more on my terms. Yeah. And just something to be a little bit silly at the end, because I just thought that this is really funny. And I'll end with this. The bigger the fupa, the tastier the chalupa. Oh my God.